And like I said, in this claim that she made in the Queen's Bench, it will work for other people in New Brunswick or possibly Nova Scotia, but I don't think it will. I know it won't work in Quebec. But when you take it over to, say, British Columbia, or you take it down here to Montana, the judge is going to pick up. See, like I said, when I did her case, I studied the pattern of the words they used in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick courts. So the terminologies that judge was comfortable with was not some American Yankee Doodle words. They were specific to the Crown. So it's like, I'm going to use their rhythm, their cadence, their pattern to what they understand. Because it looks like she just cut, copied, and pasted it off a guy from Texas. The judge will just laugh at her and say, she doesn't know how to stand in court. We're going to clobber her. She's just cut, copy, and pasting this thing. So this thing isn't just like a one-size-fits-all. So, like I said, I'm working with some folks in Idaho when they wanted me to stay a proceeding. So I actually said I want to hold in abeyance. So instead of say stay the proceeding, I said to them, I wrote to them, look, we're going to say hold in abeyance because that's the terminology they like to use in Idaho. So, like I said, if the judges are comfortable when they see a certain pattern that they're used to dealing with every day through their lawyers, so you don't want to use it word on word, and quote unquote, exactly how they stylize their claims. This man in Idaho right now, and he paid me damn good money to do this for him because it was on the spur of the moment. He's like, I need this and I need it tomorrow. I said, okay. And he just Western Union me some money. I said, there you go, buddy. So he's a defendant. He wants to move it over to common law. I said, you can't do it. First you have to hold it in abeyance and get a little bit of time so I could work with you. And then we're going to move it over to the common law. I said, you can't hit him with all this wacky common law stuff when it's a credit card debt. You are in a contract. You are in a private law. That is your common law between you and that credit card company. That is the common law between you and that fiction. You bound yourself to that law. It's common to you. It has nothing to do with UCC. It has nothing to do with the Federal Reserve notes. You bound yourself with that fictional entity. That is common law. You are going to have to break it. And you're going to have to show where there's a breach of that contract. I said, this isn't just like 1, 2, 3, let's get it over to common law. No. You do have the rules of your court established in that contract between you and the credit card company. I said, this stuff was like lightning. I don't know what people are thinking. It's going to take a while to get the common law into this case, especially when you're the defendant. Obviously, we're going to go verification of the debt. Obviously, we're going to say a delegation of authority to represent the bank. Obviously, we're going to start moving in that direction. And then we're going to bring it over to the common law when they can't bring any of those proofs of delegation of authority forward. Then we're going to make a claim of trying to defraud this man, and that they're moving him without right to administrate his property, which would be the green cash in his pocket, and trying to demand money from him. But I said, this is a long process. This isn't, long is like it's a 2-week, 3-week process. To me, that's long. It isn't just going to happen overnight. It's not, but it's not going to take 6 months or a year.
So what happens, though, if they go ahead and railroad you in the court and the judge gives them their, order to take your property or your bank account or whatever? After the fact, can you go out? Can you do the same thing after the fact?
Sure you can. Because when you move it over to the common law, there is no statute of limitations. There's no latches that could be attached to a man. But there can be statutes of limitations when you have a contract that expressly defines the terms and the rules of the law, like a credit card debt. Mm-hmm. So like I said to them, I said, look, you can't just use this stuff for every single bank, because they're like, well, mortgage company is this, and I could prove 1933 Act. It's like, look, if you're the one who decided to jump in the two-dimensional world, I said, like, go watch the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Go watch how that man jumps in between the two-dimensional world and the three-dimensional world. That's the person who ever made that movie's showing you this is how you move in a two-dimensional contract like credit card banking world, and then you move in a flesh and blood world, or the three-dimensional. But you can operate under both. But you got to be accepted by the two-dimensional world. That's like your credit rating. How good is your word? And during that movie, they say that certain people are allowed to be in a two-dimensional world and certain people aren't. So they I think if he was a cop or a detective, was allowed to be in both worlds. So like I said, because I guess he was causing no harm to the two-dimensional world. It's the same thing with credit rating. So that movie is, basically a ridiculous storyline and a ridiculous story altogether. But it shows you the difference between the two-dimensional world and the three-dimensional world, and that's how I try to explain to people what's going on. When you bind yourself, when you jump in the two-dimensional world, all the rules are upside down. It's like Alice in Wonderland. this is up and this is down and left is right. But you're the one who decided to jump into that world. You got to play by those rules. If you don't like those rules, stay the hell away. And if you did get caught up in those rules, well, thank God in this country we have the King James Version of the Bible that says, please forgive me of my debts as I would want those to forgive me of my debts. So like I said, you got a way to jump out. But you got to slowly pull out. You can't just do it dishonorably. You're going to destroy your credit rating. The judge is going to think you're crazy, and you're going to lose. Slowly pull out. Slowly say that they made a mistake. You're fallible. You're a man. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And you're going to start backing out. Because that's exactly what we put in her claim. I will forgive those who trespass upon my property as I would wish those who trespass against mine. Forgive me of my trespasses. That was exactly how we ended that lawsuit. It's only 4 sentences long. That's how we ended it. So it might sound corny, it might sound silly, but that's the law of the land.